Hey, what's up? I'm just here on my couch trying to record a video. It's not about anything, I don't think. So that's one of the kind of hills we have to overcome. But is also just a cool thing to be in front of a tiny green light. And I've always wanted to stare into a tiny green light, and now we're here. I feel like I've made it. If that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's because it actually doesn't make sense. I was looking at I was looking at my jokes from last night, and or not my jokes from last night. I was looking at my jokes, and I was like, there's some pretty good joke ideas in here that I think would make people laugh. They just need some of them need some writing work, change the way it's written to be slightly different, maybe actually like a better joke. And then some of them are like not that good of a premise. I just need to come up with a different premise for those. A lot of them are just like should probably be deleted, but hey, I can delete those and then make a better joke. So I think that's pretty neat. I also on my phone I have a lot of like raps that I laps that I've sat on and raps that I've written. So if I just as a Caucasian male in his mid 30s, obviously raps are things that I have on my phone and have not performed and probably will never perform. Yeah. So anyway, so there's a bunch of VR games also on my phone. Not actual VR games, but like ideas for VR games. Something I think would make a great VR game would be like you're a tattooist and you work at a tattoo shop, and so, these clients come in and they want you to tattoo them. And so you get like the tattoo that they want you to make, and then you're like buzzing this little tattoo onto their skin, and then it works. And then at the end you get scored on how good of a tattoo you did. And I feel like that would be a really like a banger VR game because all you have to do is nail the tattooing mechanic, and the rest can just be like Unreal Engine assets or something like that. Cool. If you want to make that with me, I'm so into that. I have some other VR games I want to make. One of them is just like a rock skipping game. So sometimes I'll see like on YouTube a video of somebody who's, oh, this guy like broke the rock skipping record, and he skips this rock and it goes literally like all the way to the left of the video. Like it's like a widescreen video, and he starts on the right and then it goes all the way to the other side, and it's like, wow, that's 1920 pixels of amazing. And I just want to recreate that experience in VR. So like as long as you get like the rock skipping mechanic to go really well, to work really good, then you're probably going to have a good time playing rock skipping. I had this other idea for a VR game that's also going to be pretty good. I'm just going to turn this into VR game ideas. Why not? One is like a train set. It's just VR train sets. So like you're a little kid, maybe it's like Christmas morning, you will unwrap the present. Okay, unwrapping a present is also a good VR idea, to be honest. You wake up in your bed, you like pull the covers off. If you could get all these things to work in VR, that would be insane. So like cloth and stuff like that. So now you've got a train set, you're putting the trains together, the trains are like running around a circle. Maybe you're like putting a train track all around your house. That would be really cool. Another VR game is obviously like gardening. If you could garden, that would be amazing. Let's see. And I want to do these like tinier experience type games first because in my grand scheme of things, I want to be able to make a VR game that's pretty involved. But if we do these smaller experiences, for example, I know I just made this motion. I want to have a VR game where you can like staple multiple pieces of paper together. And then now you have multiple pieces of paper that you've stapled together. That seems cool. I would also like to make some VR games. Let's just look at the list of what I got here. Oh, VR 180 book flipping. So book flipping some books on the legs on a beach, it says. So maybe those are your legs. You're flipping through a book in VR, beach, or wherever. Seems cool. I wanted to have a VR game where it's just typing, hands typing on a keyboard. And like you can live be typing. That's the game. You're typing on your keyboard and the hands are typing on a typewriter. Okay. And it looks awesome. That's just another idea. Penguin Raft VR. You are a penguin. Avoid being eaten by whales. This will be very scary to do in VR because you're like a penguin, right? But the core gameplay would be like swim fast, tie together rafts, or like maybe you have ways to make tunnels through icebergs and stuff like that. Because you can make like an iceberg slide system. Maybe you're a penguin with mutant powers. Mutant penguin. You're a penguin that you can like melt ice with your eyes or something. Yeah, and then you can make multi-level fortresses with the rafts and the icebergs to avoid the sharks. And obviously, like sharks are also going to be mutants too. So they're gonna once you've got your fortress, the sharks are going to be coming after you. Oh, it says being eaten by whales. I don't know. Yeah, I guess whales also eat penguins. Cool. There's this book I had called The Many Voices of Boston, and I thought about what if I made The Many Voices of Boston into a VR game? Yeah, just being able to be in any coffee shop in VR for a long time would be cool. Oh, I had this idea of a document creation game where basically you have these workshops, these individual rooms in a mansion. It's like a memory palace, okay? And you open up each room, and then in the memory palace, in each one of these rooms, you have a different project you're working on. So I could go to a room and say, I'm like, oh, I want this room to have a red door, and I want to put like a spray painted insignia on it or a wax seal or something like that. And then you can take that and turn that into a project that you're working on. So inside that room, you go into the room and it's bigger depending on how big your project is. So if you have like corkboard walls with either strings, you can make it into like a corkboard where you've got the little red strings that you're attaching to pins and stuff like that. You've got pins you can put on the wall, pictures you can take and add. You've got files, you can bring files in, and files can be represented as books, like a PDF as an actual book, pieces of paper as like, or drawings as pieces of paper so that you can like staple to books and just like being able to manipulate documents. Let's say I've got this PDF that I brought in as a file and I want to manipulate it as a book. I will open the book. I'll find a page that I want to like rip out. Boop. I'll like rip it out literally from the book. I'll pin it to the wall, which is a corkboard. I'll take from that pin maybe like a red string and attach it to another push pin. And all of these can then be generated. So like maybe that's a footnote or something. You like press a button on the workbench and now all the little pieces of paper you've been adding together or stapled together or whatever are now exported as a PDF or whatever format they need to be. But essentially it is a mansion it's like a memory palace mansion that each room becomes a document or something you're trying to learn. Could be even a chessboard is sitting there and you're learning a specific chess opening in that room. So like you go in there and there's all of the memory palace things that help you learn, okay, in that room. And I think that would be pretty neat as a VR game. It's just that I am not smart enough and don't have enough money to pay other people to make this yet. But I will, and then I'll have all these games. Another idea for a game is like I volunteer at this petting farm right now as petting zoo, and that could be a VR game. I have this idea for a game called Jack of All Times. It's a VR game. But you start as an initiate into this job called Jack of All Times, and your job is to basically deliver certain packages back in time to certain people and to watch their reactions and record them and bring back the reactions, and then those get uploaded to like a JackTube or something like that so that you can watch, like for example, you could bring back a book of William Williams memes about the plum, okay? You could bring those back and have him open that and look at that, and then that is just something that exists, and now there's a video of that. That'd be pretty weird. There's certain other things like other missions where like you have to stop the molasses flood, or maybe the molasses flood you can't stop it, but you can like deliver something that would help somebody realize the molasses flood is going to happen and they might ignore it, or they'll stop the flood or whatever. The thing is, it's really all about getting the footage from these past events. So I doubt stopping the flood would be really something worth like viewing later on. Also, now you've created a whole bunch of people who don't exist anymore. Could be weird. adding to this idea later, I wrote, there's a government game show that people vote on what jack jobs they want to happen, and some of them have the potential to change history in weird ways, but essentially, the public is voting to enact time alterations. It's chaos. But what if you sent back a book that was super modern to prove you're from the future? Then in the middle of the book, you put like a newspaper clipping of the thing that was going to happen in the next day or whatever. People in the future pay to change things in the past. If the change is deemed small enough, it's approved. Interesting. I also, bigger ideas, I want to have VR novel experiences. So Waking Blue, which is a novel I've been working on with my dad. Waking Blue novel experience. There's a novel in the game that you can read if you want to, and it's the book. And maybe the book only is released as a VR artifact inside of the VR game. Imagine this is like Wu-Tang levels of stuff. There's other books you can find. You can do symbol travel, which is where if you draw a symbol in the right way on a wall and then put your hand on it, it will send you places. You can do water travel, which is where if you swim into certain water stuff and do certain hand motions also or something, there'd have to be some like VR action that you do. Then, yeah. There's also, so Mark is a character in the game. He's a boxer, so there's going to be like boxing VR. He's moving boxes. He's a mover, so one of the mini games you'll be moving boxes around in someone's apartment. Fight sequences, symbol travel, running into the Afterlands. The Afterlands is just another big issue. Other things: fighting, escaping, parkour, guns, different weapons you can use in the Afterlands. Let's look at some rap. I don't know. I feel like VR is not good enough right now, but it's going to be really good. And I think like right now is the time to just get started on all the VR stuff. So what would be great is like having a really good VR dev kit where any game, any experience, anything I could start and create them slowly over time. So the way that I work is I'll build all the little tiny pieces and I'll make Lego sets out of the Legos, basically. All right, I'm going to stop this now